I'm getting packed up. I've got everything but the hammock and the tarp. Well, this is Carter Gap. I'm laughing. Y'all forgive me, but this is the pad that I lost and was found. And then I lost it again, and now I have found it again. But so I'm so glad I came up here to the shelter. This is what it looks like. It's actually pretty nice. No particular destination today, except I am going north. Now this is a killer view of the Smoky Mountains. There are a lot of ways to really mess yourself up out here. Traversing slippery rocks like I just did to take film of that little waterfall there was quite treacherous. If the trail was always like this, I could make really good time. But it's going over those jagged rocks and sketchy slippery places where you could fall and break your head or whatever. I'm not sure what the story is with these leafless, gnarly trees. Are these mountain laurels? I think this is the leaf. I'm guessing this is mountain laurel. So somebody chime in comments if you can answer this. And I'm not sure if these have been damaged by fire or if it's just taking a while for them to sprout leaves in the spring. It makes for an interesting spectacle as you walk through here. All I can say is, wow, what a magnificent view. There are signs of fire all along the trail. I'm guessing several years ago. See some charred trees down this way, down the hill. So that may explain these trees being dead or slow to leaf out. I just don't know. This is a great place to hang a hammock from this tree to that tree with this view. And there's that rock face that I was looking at ways back. There's a lot of rock faces on that mountain. There's a squirrel over there, and I'm not sure what he's doing. I think he's digging for nuts. I can't see it on the screen. gang, I have made it to Moody Gap. And if I wanted to, I could call a shuttle and have somebody come pick me up and take me to Franklin. But I have enough food for a couple of days for sure, and I think I'll wait until I get to the main highway, which is Winding Stairs Gap Highway or something like that. And it's another day up ahead. This is what I'm talking about. Going uphill, this is really tough on the knees. That's a big step there. I see some people have found a little workaround with these rocks. You can step inside there. Yeah, I better put the camera away to negotiate, but yeah, it's easy to fall in places like this. And we seem to be going through a very rocky stretch, and this is what makes the Appalachian Trail so challenging. This beats everything. So I'm next to this road, and I was just looking at Got Hooked to see how much further to Albert Mountain, and these ladies drive up. Looked like a car load full. And a lady sticks her head out and says, "Hey." I said, "Hey, how you doing?" She says, "Great. Do you want some whiskey?" I said, "No, I gave that stuff up years ago." And I said, "But in another year, I would say, hell yeah." Albert Mountain is a wicked climb. It's yet another, how do we put it politely, butt kicker. It just keeps getting harder and harder. This is the view at Albert Mountain.
Planted different kinds of.
Well, I was climbing a little hard out and didn't see this thing coming. This is locked off, and I'm afraid I banged my head and it's probably bleeding underneath the bandana. Oh man, that hurt. It is Sunday, April 18th, 2021. I'm at Long Branch Shelter. It is, checking my watch here, 7:10 in the morning. And people are starting to get up. It looks like a refugee camp here on this steep hillside. You see a mixture of tents and hammocks, and mostly tents. And we've got a fire going here since the crack of dawn. And people are waking up in the shelter. And my new friend Don here is having oatmeal in his bag.
The Don.
It's a pretty nice site, actually, but it's really a challenge for the tents. The privy is up the hill there. That's always a luxury out here on the trail. What more to say? It was cold and still overnight. I appreciate the lack of wind. And temperature-wise, I think we're in the mid-30s. And it's supposed to get colder in a few days. Somebody said 28. So that's the way it is on the Appalachian Trail. It would be day 18 for me. So this is Mosey from Washington State, and she's going to talk about why she's out here.
I bring a service member with me for every state. So there's a organization called Memories of Honor, and it's a nonprofit organization where family members can submit the name of their fallen service member, and then people can, if you do an event like a run or a hike or whatever, you can run in their honor, and then they send the finisher's medal to the family of the fallen service member. So I have 14 service members. I just walked for PFC Gary Layton, who died in 1969 in the Vietnam War. I walked through Georgia for him. He was from Georgia. Gunnery Sergeant Pate is from North Carolina, and so when I get to the border, I will transfer the name on the back of my pack to a gentleman from Tennessee.
That's so awesome.
So I'm taking them with me. Everywhere I go, they keep me company. I pray for their families, and keeps me going.
Wow, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you.
So this is Zack and Courtney, and tell my little fledgling YouTube audience where you're from and what you're doing. We're rolling.
I'm from Florida. I've been living in Ohio the last 8 years, traveled back and forth to visit with family every single year, and we're hiking the AT together. It's my idea, but I had to get her involved because I love her so much.
What a great way to cement the bond.
Yeah, and I grew up in Ohio. I grew up in rural Ohio, but I became a city girl in my college years, so I'm not used to being out here anymore, but this gets me back to my roots, kinda.
Awesome.
Between all the traveling I did between Florida and Ohio, all the driving, I didn't realize the mountains I drove under I'd eventually have to hike over.
So Zack and I had some laughs last night when we were trying to get our bear bag lines over a branch. First of all, it was an adventure finding a branch, and then once we found one, it was kind of sketchy. Zack's a better thrower than I am, but
I can throw it a little bit higher, but
He struggled.
It's still the branch. If it's not high enough, it's not at the right angle. There's too many factors that every single time it's kind of it's a farce to make light of it, honestly.
Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you. You guys are a hammocker, and so that's one of the funny aspects of how you're sharing that hammock, and so I won't ask you to describe that, but unless you want to.
Well, we do opposite ends. Her head on one side, my head on the other. but our underquilt is only long enough for one of our torsos. So it always leaves one person's head, if not both people's heads, freezing, and both feet freezing, if not completely numb and asleep all night. So we're trying out maybe the Z seat, and then we might actually try buying a full-size thermarest pad, like sleeping pad, to put in between the two layers of hammock, just to add some extra warmth. And
I'll volunteer to carry the full size.
That'll be awesome.
She always volunteers to carry the stuff. I'm not willing to. I threw out a flavor packet just because it had a few drops of, it was a liquid flavor packet.
Oh my goodness. and here all this time I've been toting around a bottle of olive oil, which I haven't touched yet.
It still interests me, the olive oil, but that's because it's not, there's no water in it.
Right.
It's all calories.
Right.
You know? I'm looking for calorie density.
Anything with water.
Well, I sure hope I see you guys up the trail and get to know you better. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. I've just climbed that big hill there, so I'm out of breath. I've got my pack on. I thought I'd just take a peek at this shelter at Long Branch. So this is pretty nice. It's got room for, I would say, 6 people down here if they know each other. And then there's a loft upstairs, which I'm not going to bother climbing. I might kill myself doing that. So I'm the next to the last person to leave. Been talking to Zack and his girlfriend down the hill. They are the last to leave. And looks like the fire has run its course. And what a wonderful experience this one was. Got here 3:30 last night and set up the hammock on the hillside. Young woman, Elizabeth, she says, I'm not young. I said, I'm 39 years old. I said, well, you could be my daughter. My daughter's 39. She's from New York, and I saw her at Albert Mountain. She passed me going up this really wicked hill over boulders, and another pair of men passed me also. So what can I say? Not in the best of shape out here. But so I kind of met Elizabeth even further back the trail. When I was eating lunch, she stopped to eat lunch at kind of the same location, but we were separated by some trees. And so I talked to her just for a minute as I was leaving there. Asked her what she was having for lunch, and it was like some kind of gourmet dish. It sounded like filet mignon. It's like, holy cow, this woman has fine taste. So she ends up camping right next to me, if you can believe that. Well, then later in the, maybe an hour after I arrived, another guy named Grant arrived, and he called out my name. And at first I didn't recognize him. He said, I'm Grant from MeWe. I said, Grant from the AT group. So yeah, so Grant calls out my name. And then just a couple seconds later, Elizabeth, the young woman from New York, calls out, Grant, Grant. So they knew each other from a few days before at either Unicoi Gap or Hogpen Gap. Grant's parents had come, and they're in an RV, and they gave her a ride up to Unicoi State Park, where she got in out of the rain. And so they have planted themselves in her mind as kind of saviors, you know. So I'm crossing the stream where I got some water last night. It's a Very pretty emerald green, mossy covered. You got a good water flow. So it's been a wonderful evening at that shelter. Met a lot of people. Don from Massachusetts. Turns out I had already talked to Don's brother on the trail, and Don had heard about me through his brother. So it's just such a weird, closed, tight community here on the trail. Man, word just spreads about everything. While taking a lunchtime siesta, Bobby the Greek, shuttle driver, dropped off some hikers and asked if I would like a ride to Franklin. I said yes.